Good afternoon, good morning, good evening to everyone, whoever's, wherever they are in different time zones. This is Aditya Shah. I'm an equity research analyst at Romero Research and a community leader at Romero Mentoring. And today we have with us one of our most decorated alumni, John, who's wearing a fantastic, a vibrant blue color t-shirt. And how are you doing today?
Yeah, I'm doing great, Lisa. I'm super excited to spend some time with you via Zoom
Yeah.
and get to speak about my experiences.
That's great. I mean, we're honored to, host you so that we can enrich our community through the recruiting process as much as we can. And starting right off to one of the most important questions, being, if you were a wrestler, what would be your entrance theme song?
Yeah. So this was probably the hardest question to answer,
Yeah.
but I think my entrance theme song would be "Sleeping on My Dreams" by Jacob Collier.
Oh, I haven't heard that one. I mean, I should listen to that since it's your entrance theme song. Should
Yeah,
probably put it as my alarm clock. It wake me up like as soon as that rings.
I think they use an alarm clock in the song.
Oh
So,
wow, oh
yeah,
wow, definitely should use that.
yeah.
Um, so all fun now to the serious stuff. Actually, this was a kind of serious, and depending on this, the certainty of the question. So moving forward, please walk us through your professional journey, including any campus involvement. What are your long-term goals? What are your short-term goals? Just so that the viewers have a little bit of understanding about what we're going to go forward and can get to know you as well.
Yeah, that sounds great.
Perfect.
So I'm a rising junior at UNC studying business administration with a minor in music. On campus, I'm involved with a few business orgs, mainly aimed at mentoring underclassmen, which is kind of similar to Romero's program, although not as in
Yeah.
depth. But the main of those being Scale and Coin. And then I'm also part of a tri-continental study abroad program called Globe. So this past summer, I interned with McKinsey and Company in their Charlotte office. I'm returning next summer to the New York office, and I'm currently interning with the New York Phil.
Okay.
And then I guess long term, so post graduation, I hope to start my career at McKinsey, and then at some point get a dual degree, some mix of a JD, an MBA, and an MBP. So
Wow.
two out of those three, not sure
Yeah.
which dual, but something there.
Yeah.
And then I'm hoping to return and stay at least partner, and then eventually exiting to academia or a
Oh,
C-suite
wow.
position, hopefully with a major Philharmonic, which would be
That's
cool.
crazy. Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, since you're doing a lot of things, which typically a lot of juniors do not do at your I'm a senior, and typically our age, a lot of people do not try to do it and have such a great vision about themselves. So I mean, kudos to you for actually jotting it down and actually working towards your goals. And seems like you're accomplishing a lot at a very young age. So yeah, great. That's
Thank
great.
you.
So talking about McKinsey, I saw on your LinkedIn profile that you worked as a business analyst, right? So that is
Yeah.
typically an area of finance. Would you say that?
Yes, it can be.
Okay.
So
So
like
just hold
work
on to
streams
that.
can
Just hold on to
differ.
that
Okay.
thought. Okay. Let me complete my question. So what what about business analysis can be an area of finance? And I saw on your LinkedIn also that you were working as an investment banker. You interned at an investment bank early on. So what made you shift from investment banking to consulting and doing business analysis?
Yeah. So business analysis can have areas of finance kind
Mm-hmm.
of baked into it, depending on what the project you're staffed on is. So there are different parts or like areas of consulting, and management consulting, which is like the biggest
Mm-hmm.
like type that most firms are, can be spread across different industries and different uh, subsets.
Okay.
So like there's a good chance you'll be working on a model or a slide deck for
Mm-hmm.
consulting, which is pretty similar to IB, but
Yeah.
you might be solving like very different problems from what you would be
Okay.
doing as an investment banker.
Uh-huh.
But I guess in terms of why I switched from banking to consulting, so I think I when I was pursuing banking, I went in with the idea that I've always been an analytical person, and I like the idea of working to kind of get to know a company and its unique structure.
Yeah.
So the switch from banking to consulting was not really intentional. I more
Yeah.
so lucked into it.
Yeah.
And that was kind of a result of McKinsey's recruiting process.
Uh-huh.
But I feel like the breadth of opportunities coming out of consulting is a bit broader.
Yeah.
And so given that I'm interested in nonprofit work in academia, it was just a better fit for me.
Yeah, completely. I completely understand that. You mentioned right now when you were saying that, organization and management has a lot to do with business analysis, and so, and you could be solving, as an investment banker, you could be solving one part of the equation, while as a consultant, you could be solving the other side of the equation. So, working as in both the industries, for a person, confused about which side to go towards, can you please explain, like, what side would the investment bankers tackle and what side would the consultants tackle uh, under business analysis?
Yeah. So I think that's primarily split. And I think it's almost like an age-old debate, like consulting
Yeah,
versus IB. That's like
yeah,
the big question everyone ends up
yeah,
asking, because
yeah.
that's what most schools end up
Question
filtering people
marks,
into.
exclamation marks.
Yeah. But I think the main difference is like how into the nitty-gritty you really want to get with financials. So like if you're someone who isn't really in love with the idea of only working with financials, consulting is more so like you can be solving. That's really what consulting is, just solving whatever problem a company
Yeah.
might have. And there's things like questions might be in or out of scope, which would be like, it's just not relevant.
Yeah.
But like I think investment banking is more so you're solving companies' financial problems and working to usually like increase their profits, or doing something in terms of that.
Yeah.
So like I think it's just a matter of how interested in finance you are.
That's true.
And what sort of problems you want to solve.
Yeah, 100%. And also you mentioned, while talking about McKinsey and your shift from IB to consulting, was that largely due to the fact of, McKinsey's recruiting process. So talking about that, why did you choose McKinsey over any other companies? And can you please briefly describe what your recruiting process was like, and, what were the challenges, and how did you, solve those challenges? How were the people, and just basically the entire recruiting structure?
Yeah. So I actually went through most of this recruiting while I was still working within Romero as like an analyst. And so my recruiting process was kind of odd, because I mostly just recruited for investment banks in like the sophomore roles.
Yeah.
Because at the time I didn't really think I wanted to do consulting. My dad was a consultant at Accenture, so I thought, no one ever wants to do what their dad does.
Yeah.
So I ended up keeping an open mind, not really, but kind of, because of like a mentor at school. And I applied to McKinsey's freshman program. And so that's where I kind of got into the pipeline a bit quickly early on. And I thought that was a great like intro to consulting, but I still wasn't really sold until I spoke to a McKinseyite, a UNC alum who ran me through my first case ever. And he told me he saw my eyes glow up as we cased. And that's kind of how I knew I'd found like the right industry and place for me. And so I ended up only recruiting for McKinsey and then some of the investment banks. And I kind of lucked out.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, kudos to the guy who the UNC alum who actually, showed you the case before, your recruiting process started. Because I mean, that really helps out a lot, having a practical example right before you're trying to make the big decision, IB versus consulting. And that actually clears your head and gives you a lot of clarity about, what one field is like, what the other field is like. So yeah, definitely that helps. And if any of our viewers get a chance to, get hold of one of these deals or one of these cases in any of their classes, don't you think like these should 100% capitalize on that opportunity, because it clarifies a lot of things?
Definitely. I think nothing could show you more about whether you'd like consulting than a consulting case.
100%.
Yeah.
So, talking, since you just finished your internship at McKinsey and now you'll be going when you'll be joining them in your senior year as well. What, can you please briefly describe your experience and role at McKinsey?
Yeah, so this past summer, I served as a sophomore summer business analyst. And in the role, I worked primarily with McKinsey Academy,
Mm-hmm.
which is McKinsey's outward facing arm, which is like teaching client companies how, or the employees of client companies, how to think like a consultant.
Okay.
So within that branch, I worked on several projects centered on impact tracking as well as some implementation.
Mm-hmm. That's nice. And going forward next year, would you be doing the same thing, or would you be serving as a different role in McKinsey?
So I'll still be, well, I won't be a sophomore summer business analyst. I'll
Hmm.
be a summer business analyst, but I'll likely get staffed in a different team. So McKinsey has a
Okay.
staffing model where it's like you're never really going to be doing the same thing. It's like every few months you're likely to get, as a project finishes, you're likely to get staffed in a new one.
Oh,
And I
okay.
have no idea what industry that will be yet.
Uh-huh.
I think I'll find out probably like a month or
Yeah. What industry are you
later.
hoping you'd get? Let's talk about that.
Yeah, so I mean, I'm really interested in like TMT, but specifically the
Mm-hmm.
media portion of that. So that
Yeah.
would be
Oh,
cool. But I also think it'd be cool to do some work within like the sustainability
yeah.
practice or like the implementation
100%.
and transformation practice. So like I'm pretty open to a bunch of industries.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
just
I
like a
mean, the
matter of what.
sustainability part would be really, really cool because, a lot of companies actually, in fact, almost all companies are, talking about their ESG issues and, how to improve their sustainability programs given the global warming and the climate change and everything. So your role as a consultant in order to enhance those sustainability programs would be huge. And that would be, that would provide a great experience for you and anyone who's interested in this should actually get in touch with you and just study about how the sustainability industry works and what are the different companies looking at in order to promote their programs.
And it's like the sustainability practice is pretty cool in the sense that like it is across pretty much all industries
Yeah.
because everyone's trying to work on that right now. And like the people affiliated with that practice at McKinsey travel to so many awesome places. Like
Yeah,
I know someone
that's one of the
who's
perks of
like,
consulting. You get to travel a lot.
yeah, yeah. The person I know who's affiliated with that practice, she was like in France for 10 days and then she was
Oh
going to
wow,
Switzerland and then this
that's beautiful.
project right before that she was going all over Asia. Like it's pretty
That's that's
crazy.
that's amazing, and it's all paid for by the company.
Yeah.
Yeah, nothing can get better than that.
Yeah.
So moving forward, how were you able to land a return offer from your internship? Now that you'll be joining them also as a senior right now, yeah,
Uh I'm a
junior right
I'm
now.
now a junior.
Okay,
I'm
so you'll be
next,
joining. Okay,
but
got
yes,
it.
I'm joining for my junior summer.
Okay,
Yeah.
yeah, that was a little confusing. Sorry about that. So how were you able to land a return offer from this internship for your junior summer? And what advice would you have for, other sophomore summer analysts or freshmen who have an internship for their sophomore year to, how to get a return offer?
So I think I'll handle the people who were trying to are you is this asking for like how to get a return offer once you've already interned or how to get the internship?
So once you've interned in your sophomore year, how to get a return offer from the company so that you can work over there in your junior year?
Okay. Yeah,
That's
so I
really
think
good question.
that's primarily just doing your job well,
Yeah.
but then also being easy to work with. I think
Mhm.
the second part is the one that's like usually overlooked. Like people
Yeah.
think that if they just kind of like lay low and do their
Mhm.
work, it'll be fine. But like you do want to get to know the people on your team and become friends with them because those are the
Definitely.
people who you'll be working with every day.
Yeah.
And I think that's like the largest part of finding out where you want to work is if you enjoy spending time with those people. It's
Uh-huh.
like that's a good way to figure out if you'll like your job because I
That's
think
true.
it's much more important than if you like the work you're doing is if you like the people you're working with.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's actually very, very because when I was also networking for other investment banks, one of the things which other analysts currently who are working full time over there said that they do not actually care a lot about how much because all of that you're going to learn on the job. They care about if you're stuck in the office at like 3 a.m. in the morning, the person sitting next to you, are you friends with them, or you hate sitting next to them, and you can't, and your work is even worse because nobody wants to stay in that office at like 3 a.m. No work is that interesting that allows you to stay up at like 3 a.m. So yeah, definitely. Like, I mean, if you have the people skills, if you have, you know how to talk, you know how to socialize, you're good, you easy to work to, you're a team guy. I think you should be able to work well in any company and get a return offer from them, right?
Yeah, no, definitely.
All right. So, talking about your previous professional journeys, before you landed a job, an internship at McKinsey, and your in your involvement in other student organizations, which organization or which role really helped you a lot to land this internship?
Yeah, so I think the org that helped me the most was definitely the analyst prep program in terms of just learning how to use Excel, because I mean I
Yeah,
used that a ton this summer.
yeah,
Um, getting to work with people like Mr. Romero and other students was a great experience.
yeah,
Um, I think the way I was able to land it was through both the hard and soft skills I was able to develop in the analyst prep program.
definitely,
And then also I think, like this is a great program, but there's also like it's also super helpful to get involved with like student organizations on your campus.
definitely,
Because like as great as the Romero program is, you're going to need like your school alumni to help you to
100%.
land whatever
Yeah,
company you're trying to find. And
yeah,
usually like if you find like a close knit community on campus, that's
yeah,
going to be like the best way to do that.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, even I mean, I would also recommend all our viewers to, and if they're trying to recruit for companies, that getting involved on campus while doing the alumni prep program is the best way, because if you're working right now, because the program is remote because of COVID, so the kind of interpersonal skills that you develop, you'll be able to develop that more if you're part of an organization within your campus, because you'll be going there, meeting them in person, working with them. While in terms of your technical skills, in terms of how to do the financial modeling, how to use Excel, how to do your due diligence, Romero Mentoring is, I think, way ahead of other student organizations, because most of these organizations are also led by students who do not know a lot about these processes, while Romero Capital is run by a person who has been involved in this industry for over 13 years. So that experience years, that matters a lot in terms of teaching the technical skills. And now once we'll be back in, once COVID settles down and our programs can happen in person, that element of developing interpersonal skills can also be done through Romero mentoring. So definitely, I mean, student organizations really help a lot on campus, and we are actually in our phase of developing at Romero mentoring a career channel, so a career portal in which we could invite other companies to come and post their jobs and recruit from our talent pipeline. So because we only get very, very serious students, and once we have those serious students, companies can come and recruit from us directly because we have the technical skills. So I mean, seems like a great opportunity, and seems like it worked out for you in your favor.
No, definitely.
Yeah. So you moving forward, what what advice, since we have a shorter time, what advice do you have for incoming freshmen and sophomores who are interested in pursuing careers in finance, consulting, investment banking, and how to land their offers, especially freshmen and sophomores, because it's getting competitive day by day, and it's better to get a head start than to just be a laggard and do whatever you have to do in the junior year.
Yeah, I think I have two like main pieces of advice. The first is just find mentors to guide you. Mr. Romero was like an incredible mentor for me and like
Mhm.
a ton of people who did the program. But like just finding someone that's like just a few years older than you that's gone through the process is like insanely helpful, because they have so much that they can teach you just because they've already gone through it. Like I wouldn't even have known or considered McKinsey without some of the mentors I found at UNC, because I
Yes.
was so set on going into IB.
Mhm.
And then I think secondly is it can be really easy to kind of get like sucked into the thought of I need to get this incredibly
Yeah.
competitive internship. I need to do this. I need to do that. But like you really don't.
Yeah.
Like if you're if you're doing the Romero program, like you're definitely going to do something insane. And like it's good to take a step back, but also consider like whatever you end up doing. I think we kind of touched this before, but like nothing is going to be more important than being happy with what you end
That's
up
true.
doing,
That
and
is
you're not going
true.
to be happy unless you like the people you're with.
Yeah.
So consider that, and consider like the companies that are recruiting are looking to find people that would make the people they already have happy,
Mhm.
just
Yeah,
because they'd be good
that's
people to
true.
be around.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, those two, I mean, we've done like almost six alumni chat series. And the second point, which you mentioned, was not covered by a lot of people. So thank you,
Mhm.
for covering that point. And, because that is a very, very important point, because by the end of it, even if you're earning like six figures and if you're not happy or miserable doing that job, sooner or later, there'll come a burnout period in which you'll just quit.
Yeah. And I
And
think
yeah, go
that's
ahead.
like super common
Yeah.
in like most jobs that people within the prep program are going to be looking at. Like
Yeah.
consulting, investment banking, turn rates are super high, so it's kind of,
Yeah, 100%. So,
yeah.
just wrapping things up over here, it was great talking to you. I hope, our viewers get to learn a lot from your journey because it is truly an incredible one. And yeah, I mean, I hope you have a fantastic day ahead. And thank you so much again.
Yep, you too. Yeah, thank you
Thank
so much for
you.
having me.
Bye.
Yep, bye.